Good morning. We want to get this started as soon as we can. Thank everybody for being here and being prompt. Unfortunately, I wasn't, but I appreciate you guys being prompt. This is very, very important legislation that we are trying to help enact across the state. Legislation that we've been in Newark fighting for decades before I even was present on the planet. And I was able to join in some of those struggles as I grew up in this town. Some of them involuntarily as a child, and some of them voluntarily as an adult. I want to thank Councilwoman McIver for being here with us this morning as well. I know this is a very, in some instances, controversial issue. It seems like in the era of George Floyd that it would be an easy thing to do. But it appears that it is not easy for us to do. In fact, something simple as the George Floyd and policing bill does not seem easy to do. And it's a pretty moderate bill. And it feels like we cannot get it done. And here in New Jersey, as we struggle with the Civilian Complaint Review Board, in Newark, we stood one up because we wanted to, and because the federal government, under the consent decree, demanded that we do so. They said that we needed to set up civilian oversight. This is the federal government. The Department of Justice under President Obama said that the city of Newark needed civilian oversight. Not the mayor, right? Not the People's Organization for Progress, right? The Department of Justice said that we needed civilian oversight. How that looked, they left it up to us. We decided to stand up a review board that we believed would work based on review boards that we have witnessed around the country, and by the grace of God, being able to look at some of the shortfalls of those review boards helped us, and we had community groups also opine to help us make it stronger. And we did that. We were very proud of what we stood up, and the council in turn made it the law. We have been trying to effectuate this review board since then, with all kinds of interference from everybody, refusing to allow us to go forward. And now we're at this point where the legislature is considering a review board bill. And before I bring people up, I just want people to be clear, the press to be clear on my view, because I don't want it to be written wrong, misconstrued, turned into something different. I believe that we need subpoena power. That there cannot be a review board without subpoena power. I believe that we need to have the right to investigate. That we should be able to do investigations parallel to internal affairs. I do not believe it violates any labor laws or rights that police officers have. And we believe that this review board not only helps residents and civilians, that it also helps police. We also believe that the review board's findings should be looked at seriously, and the chief of police should be required to at least publicly say why he does not or she does not want to follow the advice of the review board. I do not think those are harsh things to ask for. These are not radical things. In my view, it's pretty moderate as well. So in this era, we think that it should be passed, and that is my opinion. The court ruled with one dissenter, and the dissenter being Justice Rabb, who is the Chief Justice, by the way. The irony of that's pretty poetic, that the Chief Justice said that we had the right to do exactly what we were doing. Everybody else dissented, and basically saying that the council, there is no law that allows the council to give its subpoena power to another body. They didn't say it was unlawful. They said there's no precedent, no law that allows this to happen. That has never happened before. The council already has subpoena power. What we're trying to do is give the council the right to give its subpoena power to whomever they want. And any body that's created by the municipal government should have the right to have subpoena if the municipal government says that body needs to have subpoena power. That we should have the authority of the people. Why? Because the people elected the council. They did not elect the police. Right? So that authority, where that authority comes from? It comes from when we're sworn in. It says we'll uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this state, under the authority of the people. That's what it says when we get sworn in. So the decisions that the council is making is made under the authority of the people. And if that's what the people are suggesting, that's what we should have. So let me go. I just want to thank everybody for being here today. I think, I haven't seen him, is Amol here from, oh, there you go, ACLU. We give him an opportunity to come up. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amol Sinha. For the press, that's AMOLSINHA. I'm the executive director of the ACLU of New Jersey. First of all, let me just thank Mayor Baraka for his powerful words right now. And you know, what I'm about to say is just going to echo it. That for 60 years, more than 60 years, the people of Newark have demanded real civilian oversight of police. And we at the ACLU of New Jersey have stood by the people of Newark and been a part of this movement for many decades, working with lawmakers and stakeholders and community members to get it done. And Newark led the way, right? Together with community members and voices at the table and leaders all across the state, Newark designed a model civilian review board for the rest of the country. And it was a model in its thoroughness because it contemplated doing all of the things that we want to see in a civilian review board, including, you know, having community representation, community voices at the table, making sure that the people are heard, independent and concurrent investigatory authority, making sure that we don't have to play second fiddle to internal affairs, making sure that we have discipline power, the ability to make sure that we get, the Civilian Review Board has the ability to recommend discipline to the police. And of course, most importantly, as the mayor mentioned, subpoena power, so that we can conduct thorough investigations. However, as the mayor mentioned, soon after it was enacted, the police union sued, and we understand that. And we got a decision from the Supreme Court of New Jersey that said that our CCRB couldn't exist in its current form. But what the decision did was give us a roadmap to design how it could exist. So what that roadmap did was said, look, the thing that Newark envisioned years ago can't currently exist because state law doesn't allow it, but here's how state law can allow it. You know, there are communities up and down the state following the lead of Newark, itching to get civilian review in their communities. You know, there are communities that are tired of seeing black bodies being killed in the streets by police. There are communities who are tired of seeing these videos over and over again and not seeing any accountability. We're tired of seeing history repeat itself without any changes, and the same systems continuing to uphold the same status quo. And we're tired of seeing visionary leaders like those here in Newark being told that they can't have what they dream up. But thankfully, we have leaders here that haven't backed down. And thanks to the leadership of Mayor Baraka in Newark and our state leaders all across the legislature, including Assemblywoman McKnight and Assemblywoman Sumter and Senator Rice and other members of the Black Caucus, we have legislation that will allow for more full-throated CCRBs across the state. Look, I know that having a civilian review board is not going to rid us of unjust policing. We need a whole lot more to even scratch the surface of accountability, right? We need police disciplinary history transparency. We need to ban chokeholds. We need to limit the use of deadly force. And yes, we need to end qualified immunity, which for too long has protected officers from even civil liability. Then we have to change how we utilize police in society and focus on life-affirming efforts to help people rather than criminalize them. And I know that no one thing is a panacea, right? But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try. And we shouldn't accept compromises that don't work for the people, because we know that a toothless attempt at a reform is worse than no reform at all. A CCRB without subpoena power or community representation or disciplinary power is rendered useless, but gives the appearance of change. We need real accountability and not accountability theater. And I believe that we can do this. I believe that our state can lead. I believe that Newark can lead. And I believe that we can pass A4656, which is the bill that we've been referring to, and have real CCRBs in New Jersey. And I believe that we can build up the movement for police accountability and reform like we always have, which is brick by brick, starting right here in Newark. So thank you to Mayor Baraka, to the members of our city council, and to our state legislature, and the sponsors in particular, for speaking truth to power and moving us forward. I'll stick around for any questions. Thanks. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to be clear that it's necessary for us to have this press event because we want the bill to be put up and we want it to be passed before lame duck session. We want it to happen before the Assembly and the Senate are dismissed for the summer. We would like this to happen immediately. It can happen immediately. It needs to be debated and put on the floor in order that we understand and hear the opinions of our legislatures around this bill, and we need it to be passed at once, which is why we are convening here today. I want to take this time to bring up Pastor Ali, who has been a stalwart in his fight for a very, very long time.
Well, grace and peace. Good morning to each and every one of you. And I come out this morning because I believe strongly. It's one word that I practice and I believe in, and it bothers me that people don't want transparency. One key word, transparency. Subpoena power, transparency. A strong civilian review board, transparency. It's not that we're against the police, but I'm a product of the '67 rebellion. I was here. Not much older, but I was here. and with that being said, with all the battles that we have had in the city of Newark between police and civilians, I teach my parishioners that you need to be transparent in everything we do. I believe that every faith leader that comes together, whether you come together on a Friday from the Quran, whether you come together on a Saturday from the Torah, whether you come together on a Sunday from the Bible, that you teach transparency. When you open up that holy book, what you're saying, this is what it says, this is what it means, and this is how we should govern our lives. And to understand that I've been out here for a good little while on this battle, I understand the frustration of this battle. I understand the good people that are on the CCRB currently, and to take away subpoena power, it's like saying, make a baby, but we're not going to allow you to use sperm. You make the whole process infertile, non-fertile, non-barren. And it's just, then becomes a mock court, so to speak. You're just sitting there spinning your wheels. We have a board, but we have no power. We have a board, but we have no energy. We have a board, but we can't speak into nobody's life. We can't process stuff. We can't make the citizens of Newark feel secure, knowing that there's transparency, not only with the police officers, but also transparency with the Civilian Review Board. It's community, public safety. That's the public. This bill was put in place to protect not only the people, but if you have proper transparency, it would also protect the police officers. So I thank the mayor for the opportunity, and that's all I have to say. But we need it, and they need to be pressed. We talked with Assemblywoman Sumter on our show this past Friday, and I understand the lame duck and all that, so I encourage everyone to get behind your local officials and tell them to push. Contact your senators, your legislative body, and tell them to push to put this bill up, that it might be voted on, and that we might regain our subpoena power. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. I don't know, next was Minister Abdul Haq. I think he stepped out for a second. So I'd like to bring up Brother Larry Hand for People's Organization for Progress.
Good morning. First of all, I want to thank Mayor Baraka for being unwavering in this fight for the Police Review Board here in the city and in the state. I want to thank him for calling and hosting this press conference, and I want to say at the beginning that the People's Organization for Progress wholeheartedly supports the fight to get A4656 and S2963 passed, which would enable municipalities to establish police review boards with subpoena power. If police review boards don't have subpoena power, they don't have any teeth. And if we have police review boards that don't have any teeth, they really cannot serve the community and carry out the mission for which they were established. I want to thank Pastor Ali for his remarks, which was so timely, and I call on all people of conscience, all right-thinking people across this state to rise up now and demand the passage of this legislation. I call on you to call and to write and to email and to text and to meet with your assembly persons and your state senators. We need 41 votes in the assembly to get this passed, and we need 21 votes in the Senate to get this passed. At this point, it's all about the numbers. So we need people to meet with and call and write and text and email and send letters to within the next few weeks to their legislators and demand the passage of this bill. The mayor spoke earlier about the George Floyd bill, the George Floyd Police Accountability Act, which we also support. We support it, but we understand why it's not being enacted. It's not being enacted. It was passed by the House because Democrats control the House, and it's being held up in the Senate because there's a 50-50 split in the Senate, and unfortunately, we have a couple of right-leaning Democratic senators. So we see what's happening at the national level. But in my humble opinion, there's no reason why this bill should not be passed by the New Jersey legislature. We control the governor's office. We control the Senate. When I say we, the Democrats control the governor's office, the Senate, and the Assembly. And black people, and not just black people and Democrats of all races have voted for these folks, and it's time for them to deliver something which the people have demanded. I was a child in 1967. I was a student at South 17th Street School. And the first time I heard about police brutality was when my grandfather, who was a veteran, his name was Claude Cobb. My father passed when I was 4, so my mother went back to live with her parents and I went with her. My father, Lawrence Ham, was a veteran, and my grandfather, Claude Cobb, was a veteran. And I think of them because we just passed Memorial Day. They're buried in the veterans section of the Glendale Cemetery. And I can remember the first time my grandfather talked to me about the police. And he talked to me about how the police beat our people. Now, we didn't have a political family. We didn't have these discussions often. But when the rebellion occurred in 1967, these discussions could not be avoided. And my grandfather talked to me about how the police beat us. He was talking about black people, Negroes, as he said back in those days, how they beat Negroes. And then July 1st will mark the 50th anniversary of my appointment to the Board of Education at the age of 17. And shortly after that, I met the mayor's father, Amiri Baraka, who I remember today, who raised that banner high and fought for the Police Review Board. And his son is carrying on that legacy and carrying out this fight for the Police Review Board. Now I can remember his father's organization, Committee for a Unified Newark, put out a newspaper called Unity and Struggle. Anybody remember Unity and Struggle? And I remember Unity and Struggle and how there were articles in Unity and Struggle that said we should have a police review board with subpoena powers. And they even said we should have an elected police review board at that time. So we're here in the vortex of history. History is not past. It's always present. And we're here to carry out a historical mission. And if we don't win, we're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna fight until we get this police review board. So the last thing I want to do is apologize to the mayor. Mayor, I know you had an awards ceremony yesterday. I was supposed to be there. And I wasn't there, and I apologize. It was not, my absence was not intentional. So I apologize for not being there. But again, brothers and sisters, this is a fight. It's very specific. It's not amorphous. It's not cloudy. It's a very clear target. Get a 4656 passed, 2963 passed, so we can have a police review board to deal with the problem. Police brutality is a serious problem in this country, and it's a serious problem in the state of New Jersey. The police kill more than 1,000 people every year. From the time that George Floyd was killed until the time that Derek Chauvin was convicted, the police killed 1,050 people in the United States. This is not just a black people's fight. This is not just a police brutality victims fight. This is everybody's fight. Police brutality is not a black problem. It's an American problem. And it needs to be dealt with like an American problem. And I'll say this and shut up, sit down. We stand at a very critical juncture in this society. The threat of authoritarianism and fascism is very real in the United States. We saw that with the attempted coup that occurred on January the 6th. And the Star Ledger, which is a paper of record for this state, pointed out that many of those that participated were in the military and in the police. Getting control, community control of the police is not just a question of police brutality. It's a question of democracy in the United States. It's a democratic question. So we need community control of the police to preserve democracy in this country. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
I'm supposed to hold. I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it. So before I bring Minister Abdul Haq up, I wanted to, Larry reminded me, when I was 10 years old, I had to testify in court in New York City because the police had beaten my father. And I was a 10-year-old kid testifying, and the prosecutor, who I could remember, this woman who was trying to make me out to be a liar at 10 years old by asking me which way the handcuffs were on my father, were they in the front or in the back. I don't remember anything else about the trial but that. And, you know, because it must have had an impact on me, right? And, and I was thinking to myself that I don't remember. And if I say the wrong thing, will I let my family down? It was the handcuffs in the front or the back. And really, when you're watching your father get beat by the police, you're really not focusing on where the handcuffs are. As an adult, you begin to understand that. And I think that she knew that too. And she tried to trip a 10-year-old up in order to justify why my father was being beat in front of his family. And so the review board gives us the right to oversee the actions of police. And the Congress oversees the actions of the military. Yes, sir. So I don't understand why the people can't oversee the actions of police officers. And these are not even criminal oversight. Anything that's criminal has to go to the prosecutor's office. So we're talking about things that are procedural and behavioral in the police department. Why is that important? Because Derek Chauvin had about 5, 6, 7 cases against him before he committed murder. And if the review board could have interceded 3 cases earlier and removed him from the department, George Floyd would be alive. And to make it more salient for you, your businesses wouldn't have burnt down. And that's really important for us to get our hands on. And you would rather keep things the way they are, right, than to put procedures in place that stop us from stopping police officers who think that they have the right to judge, be the jury, the judge, and the executioner on the street of the people in our community. So that being said, I want to bring up Minister Abdul Haq from Mosque number 25. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Mayor. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Greetings to you all. Once again, my name is Brother Abdul Haq Muhammad. I'm the student minister of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for the Muhammad Mosque of Islam, number 25, which is located here in the city of Newark, New Jersey. And as a student and minister of him, he has taught us from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that history is all of our studies, the most attractive and best qualified to reward our research, as it develops the springs and motives of human actions, which displays the consequences of circumstances, which operates most powerfully on the destinies of the human being. It teaches us that the wise man or woman is the one who has made a careful study of the past events of ancient and modern history, because the knowledge of the future is judged by the knowledge of the past. He says that some men and women are born with the gift of prophecy, while others are trained into it through an intense study of history. So there's a saying that the historian is a prophet in reverse, because if you don't know what was, you can't know what is, and you'll be ill prepared for what is yet to come. So historically, all praises be to Allah. Historically speaking, on March 6 of 1857, during the Dred Scott decision, Chief Justice Roger B. Taney said, quote, that the current or former slaves and their descendants have no rights which any white man is bound to respect. And that is the primary reason that we are here, because we want an immediate end to the police brutality and mob attacks against the so-called Negroes throughout the United States. We believe that the federal government should intercede to see that black men and women tried in white courts receive justice in accordance with the laws of the land, or allow us to build a new nation for ourselves dedicated to justice, freedom, and liberty. Because as a people, we want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of creed, class, or color. We want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. But why are we standing here today? Because the perspective upon which the police in this country govern and oversee our community, it was spoken of by Thomas Jefferson when he said that I advance it therefore as a suspicion only, that the blacks, whether originally a distinct race or made distinct by time and circumstances, are inferior to the white race in both the endowments of body and mind. The perspective upon which the police govern our community It was spoken of by Abraham Lincoln when he said that there's a distinct difference between a white and a black race, which I believe will forever forbid the two races from living together. He said, but while they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior. And I, as much as any man, am in favor of having a superior position assigned to the white race. While we are standing here today, because a document was written by Thomas Jefferson called the Declaration of Independence. And he said that governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. But whenever any form of government becomes destructive of those ends, then it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish that government. We're asking for a specific bill to be passed, but oh, New Jersey, I say you owe black men and women in this state much more. For it was us that built this state in particular. They call it the Garden State, but it's only because our ancestors was doing the garden. I'll close, Brother Mayor, on this. The Bible teaches us in the book of Genesis, the 15th chapter, the 13th verse. And the Lord said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, shall serve them and shall afflict them for 400 years. Also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. For 300 years of slavery, our people were lashed, beaten, and killed, given no education, reared and cared for like the slave master's stock, horses, cows, and other domestic animals. Well, Thomas Jefferson was a man of scripture. So he said one day that I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, and that his justice cannot sleep lying down forever. Abraham Lincoln again said, I see in the near future a crisis approaching that unnerves me and causes me to tremble for the safety of my country. So, oh, New Jersey, I ask you to pass this bill and do right by us because we have done right by you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
We'll open up for any Q&A. Any Q&A, and anybody that spoke could respond on this topic. If you want to talk to me about something else, I could be outside in the lobby and we can talk about it out there, but this time is dedicated to the Civilian Complaint Review Board. Yep.
Thank you. It's Rebecca at NJ.com. Are you just concerned with why it's taking so long to pass the CCRB legislation? And also, too, what about other police accountability legislation, like qualified immunity, especially that? And hopefully, too, someone could just clarify, what's the status of the petition for cert at the federal Supreme Court, too?
Okay, so yes, we are concerned that the bill is taking too long, and by the way, we support all of the police accountability bills that are being navigating themselves through the House, the Assembly, and the Senate right now. The CCRB, we believe, should be passed immediately, and we know that there are other iterations that people are thinking about of this bill, right? We know that people are concerned about subpoena power and they want to take it out. We know that, we are particularly focused on making sure that every city in the state has the ability to pass a bill or a law, an ordinance that allows us to set up a civilian review board as well. So we are concerned about that, and more importantly, we wanted to get passed before the lame duck session. And we think this will lead the other bills, and once this happens, other bills will follow. In terms of the federal court, I think that the Supreme Court, I think that some of our legislatures knew some information, but the Supreme Court made a decision not to hear our petition.
And I just want to, do you specifically support
And you knew that.
qualified immunity bill?
I can't hear you.
Do you specifically support the qualified immunity?
Sure, yes, absolutely. Hopefully, when you guys write about the statement about qualified immunity, you also say the mayor wants the Civilian Complaint Review Board passed before the lame duck session. Because that's why we got together, and hopefully that makes the news too.
Good morning. I just want to say that, Mayor, you have said time and time again that if there is a crisis, all the press is out. you have had to generate publicity around this because this is something that the press will not touch like they need to. So what I want to charge everyone, my name is Deborah Smith-Gregory and I serve as the president of the NAACP Newark branch. And I want a call to action that we generate press around this. That all of the Instagrams and all of the Facebook, and that we not just call our own assembly person and our own senator, that we flood the assembly and the Senate, the speaker, the minority speaker, that they know that we want this bill passed. The purpose of this is to generate that kind of publicity among us, because we are the ones that will get it done. The press, channel 2, 7, 5, 11, 9, 10, 12, they're not here, but we are here. And what we can do is we can generate the publicity to put the pressure on to pass those bills. And Mayor, can you say what the bills are one more time? The numbers?
The bill,
4656,
84656
2963.
and 2963.
So my call is share that, okay? Facebook, all your pages, share that, Instagram, all your handles. Share that for those of you who are on TikTok, share it on Twitter. Share it around your social media platform so that they know that there is a movement afoot and that the mayor has generated this press conference for that publicity.
Yes, that's it. I want to thank, no more questions. Thank everybody for coming out. I want to echo what the president of NAACP said in Newark, that let's do that and let's get busy on it. Thank you.